The entire world is holding its breath, collectively asking one haunting question: where is the new supreme leader of Iran, Mojtaba Khamenei, truly hiding? Since his ascension to the highest seat of power in Tehran, he has remained a ghost, failing to make a single public appearance. The mystery reached a fever pitch when President Donald Trump, in his characteristically blunt style, declared to the press, "I don't even know if he's still alive, and from what I hear, he likely isn't." While Washington has placed a staggering $10 million bounty on any intelligence regarding the Tehran leadership, the volatility of the global oil market has forced Trump into an ironic corner, quietly easing sanctions on Russia just to stabilize energy prices. Yet, despite the chaos, the new Ayatollah of Iran refuses to show his face. On March 15th, President Donald Trump delivered a series of explosive remarks that sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles. He asserted with absolute certainty that he is not currently ready for any peace deal or ceasefire agreement. Although reports suggest that Tehran is desperately searching for an exit ramp to stop the bleeding, Trump flatly rejected the notion. He argued that the current terms offered are simply not solid enough to meet American demands for long-term security. Interestingly, the president has kept Washington's specific list of demands shrouded in secrecy, effectively turning the negotiations into a cryptic fog of war that leaves both allies and enemies guessing. The most provocative moment of the speech, however, was when Trump publicly questioned the survival of Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei. Since taking over the mantle from his late father, Mojtaba has vanished from the media lens. The US president did not hesitate to amplify rumors that the leader might have been neutralized in earlier waves of precision airstrikes. He boldly proclaimed that if Mojtaba is indeed still breathing, the wisest thing he could do for his nation's survival is to surrender immediately. Geopolitical analysts recognize this as a direct psychological assault aimed at shattering Iranian internal unity at a moment when the country is buckling under immense military pressure. To formalize this pressure, the US State Department has officially authorized a reward of up to $10 million for information leading to the location of Iran's key decision makers. This high-value target list is not limited to Mojtaba Khamenei. It encompasses the inner circle of power, including military advisor Yahya Rahim Safavi and intelligence minister Esmail Khatib. In an unprecedented move, the US has even offered full relocation and witness protection services for those brave enough to step forward with actionable intelligence. This aggressive manhunt follows the devastating strikes of February 28th, which reportedly claimed the lives of several high-ranking officials, including the late Ali Khamenei. Washington is clearly attempting to capitalize on the resulting vacuum to completely dismantle the command and control apparatus of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, the organization that holds a stranglehold over Iran's domestic politics and its massive economic interests. On the Iranian side, state-run media outlets are working overtime to project an image of normalcy and continuity. They insist that Mojtaba is actively governing and overseeing military operations despite sustaining minor injuries during recent bombardments. Conflicting reports have surfaced, suggesting the leader suffered a fractured foot and significant facial bruising, yet the veracity of these claims remains a massive question mark. However, US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth offered a far more grim assessment. He suggested that Mojtaba was so severely injured, perhaps even disfigured, that he is physically unable to appear before a camera, forced instead to issue orders only through written communiques. The fact that Mojtaba's presence has been limited to written messages read by television anchors on March 12th has only fueled the fires of skepticism. In these texts, the leader maintains a defiant and vitriolic tone, swearing to avenge the blood of the martyrs and demanding that neighboring Arab nations immediately shut down all US military bases on their soil. Nevertheless, the absence of a verified, living image of the leader while the nation is under sustained, heavy fire is a fatal weakness. It creates a dangerous validity gap that threatens to erode the faith of the Iranian populace in their government's survival. According to Western intelligence sources cited by CNN, Mojtaba did indeed survive the initial waves of the massive US and Israeli air campaign. However, the survival came at a heavy physical cost. He is believed to be recovering from a broken leg and extensive trauma to his face, including severe bruising around the eyes. The son of the Iranian president has also made statements confirming that the supreme leader's condition is stabilizing and that he is currently being protected in a top-secret hardened facility deep underground. Despite these reports of his survival, Israel has no intention of letting up. Tel Aviv has issued a series of steel-cold warnings, stating that anyone who occupies the seat of supreme leader is automatically placed at the top of their kill list. This direct existential threat likely explains Mojtaba's refusal to step into the light. Yet, curiously, his absence has not yet shattered the support of the regime's hardcore loyalists. On the contrary, thousands of Iranians have taken to the streets in a display of defiance, swearing allegiance to the unseen leader and transforming his silence into a powerful symbol of steadfastness. If we look back at nearly 4 decades of history, Mojtaba's preference for the shadows is nothing new. Under his father's reign, he was always the grey eminence, the ultimate power broker operating behind the scenes while rarely seeking the spotlight. In Tehran, cleric Mahmoud Karimi has even interpreted this reclusiveness as a sign of spiritual humility. While his enemies mock his disappearance, historians like Arash Azizi argue that Mojtaba's standing is actually stronger than ever. He is now seen as both the son of a martyred figure and a direct victim of American-Israeli aggression. These elements are triggering a massive wave of emotional solidarity and nationalist fervor among the Iranian people. Many analysts believe that the supreme leader's physical absence does not necessarily diminish the legitimacy of the regime in the short term, as long as key institutions remain functional and military decisions are coordinated. Whether or not Mojtaba stands before a camera is not the highest priority. Evidence suggests the IRGC is still operating the war machine with ruthless efficiency. Some believe that the military generals are the ones truly holding the reins of power, utilizing Mojtaba as a necessary symbol of religious and legal legitimacy to continue what they have dubbed the Ramadan War. Mojtaba's physical presence will likely only become critical once the smoke of battle clears. At that point, the citizens and the political elite will demand a clear vision for the post-war era. For now, everyone understands that he is the primary target in a global manhunt. Iran's refusal to be baited into showing its leader, despite international ridicule, reveals a familiar, stubborn, tactical patience. They are not in a rush to parade him for a photo op that could lead to his assassination. Instead, they choose to preserve their strength and maintain mystery as a psychological weapon on the global stage. Experts suggest that Iran is betting everything on the idea that time is on their side. Even though the US and Israel have conducted over 6,000 airstrikes, significantly crippling Tehran's conventional naval and missile capabilities, Iran believes they can be more stubborn than Trump can afford to be. They are waiting for the moment when the American public's tolerance for the war's economic fallout finally breaks. Analysts from the Cato Institute have pointed out a crucial strategic factor. Iran is fighting on its own home turf. They have built their entire defense doctrine specifically for this scenario, confronting a technologically superior conventional military. While Trump enthusiastically declared in Kentucky that Washington won the war in the first hour, the reality at the Strait of Hormuz tells a different story. The strait remains effectively closed, and as global gas prices soar, American citizens are beginning to feel the heat of the war in their own wallets. This economic pain is the Achilles heel for Trump as the midterm elections approach. The economic math of this conflict is becoming increasingly absurd. The United States vaporized over $11.3 billion in less than the first week alone, while Pentagon officials worry about depleting their limited stocks of multi-million-dollar precision munitions. Iran remains committed to a war of attrition using low-cost UAVs. Even with its military infrastructure severely degraded, Tehran maintains the ability to cause catastrophic disruption to the oil markets with sporadic, unpredictable, and surgical strikes on energy hubs. Tehran's confidence appears to be bolstered by significant support from its global partners. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi recently confirmed that the country is engaged in deep military cooperation with both Russia and China. While the specifics remain classified, intelligence suggests that Russia is providing Iran with real-time data on US military positions, a development that is causing a massive headache for Washington planners. Iran has also issued a final, definitive warning. If their primary oil infrastructure on Karg Island is touched, every American-linked energy facility in the region will be targeted for destruction. By accusing the UAE of allowing the US to use its territory for offensive operations, Tehran is creating a climate of absolute terror among Gulf allies. Ultimately, Trump's greatest challenge is not how many Iranian launchers he can destroy, but how to end this war before the economic and political price tag becomes more than the United States can bear. The war with Iran has now entered its third week with no end in sight. The hostilities have claimed over 2,000 lives and left countless injured across several Middle Eastern nations. The Strait of Hormuz remains a global choke point, sending the world economy into a tailspin. Israel has declared that the conflict with Iran is escalating into a decisive phase, one that they are prepared to prolong for as long as it takes to ensure their absolute security.